Welcome, guys. So as you can see here, we have a question, and it's from JEE Advanced. Paper 1 of this year, 2024. So we have a polynomial, and if we take x as 1, substitute x equals 1, we get -9 as the result. So let's see what we get. So we have x power 4, which is 1 power 4, which is 1, plus a into 1 cube is a, and b into 1 square is b, plus c is equal to the result, -9. Transpose 1 this side. We have a plus b plus c is equal to -10. So let's leave this aside for now. Now let's see the second sentence. We have an equation, and as you can see here, x is common to all the terms. So this is actually the product of x and a quadratic equation. And when equating with 0, we can figure out that x equals 0 is going to be one root, and the other two roots will be that of the quadratic equation. And since we're not interested about x equal to 0 being a root because we're worried about I root 3, we can divide by x on both sides. We can just ignore it. So we have 4x squared plus 3ax plus 2b equals 0. Now using the quadratic equation formula, we have minus 3a, which is minus b, plus or minus b squared from the quadratic equation is 3a whole square, which is 9a squared, minus 4 into 4 is 16, and 16 times 2 is 32. We have 32b, but since it's minus 4ac, we'll have minus 32b by 2a, which is 2 into 4, which is a. And one of these roots are supposed to be I root 3. So this is a purely imaginary number, as you know here. This is only a coefficient of I with no real part, and this is supposed to be a real part because a is a real number according to the question. So that means if a real number added to a purely imaginary number gives a purely imaginary number, then that means that real number is supposed to be equal to 0. This gives us 3a is equal to 0. That means a equals 0. There you go. Let's take a look at the equation now. So solving this, we have this is going to be 0. This is also going to be 0. So we have plus or minus, put aside 9a squared, we have minus or negative 32b by a is the square root of 64. So we can write this as root 64 is equal to I root 3. Now, since we know root of negative 32b is the product of root of -1 and root of 32b. So write this as root of -1 is I, and the rest of it is just 32b. This is whole by root 64 is equal to I root 3. Now cancel I on both sides, and root 32 by root 64 is going to give you root 2 in the denominator. And then we have root b. Let's write it here. Root b by root 2 is equal to root 3. This implies root b is equal to root 6 if you transpose root to that side. This implies, I forgot the plus or minus, but it doesn't really matter because we're going to square on both sides right now. So b is equal to 6. Now, if you see the rest of it, we have to substitute these values into this equation 1 of that time. So now we have b is equal to 6, a is equal to 0, and let's write it down. So we have a plus b plus c is equal to negative 10, and from the derivations we made previously, we have 0, and this is 6. So if you transpose 6 this side, it becomes negative 6, and negative 10 minus 6 is equal to negative 16. So we have c is equal to negative 16, because that's the only thing remaining here. Now let's solve the original f of x here. So a is 0, so we can eliminate ax cubed. And now this is a fun equation. So let's see what we're going to do now. So we have x power 4 plus bx squared plus c as a simplified equation. And now what we have to do to solve this is take y is equal to x squared. This makes it much easier. So we have y squared plus by plus c is equal to 0. This implies substituting the values of b and c from the previous solutions. We have y squared plus 6y. C is negative 16. So we have negative 16 or minus 16 is equal to 0. This is what we have from the quadratic equation formula. We have y is equal to negative 6 plus or minus root of 6 squared minus 4 into 1 into negative 16, which gives plus 64, by 2 into a, which is 2 into 1. So if you simplify this, you know that 36 plus 64 is 100. And the root of 100 is 10. So we have negative 6 plus or minus 10 by 2. If you divide the numerator and denominator by 2, you have negative 3 plus or minus 5. But we're not looking for y, we're looking for x. So since the degree of the equation was 4, we'll be having 4 roots, real or imaginary or complex, whatever it is. But we'll be having 4 roots. You can express them in one term. That it's plus or minus root of this thing, because this is y, which is x squared, discussed previously. Just have negative 3 plus or minus 5. And if you simplify this, let's take all the 4 combinations. So you can take plus on both places, or minus on both places, or plus or minus here, or here plus, here minus. So you have 4 combinations. Let's see what they will be. So we'll take this as alpha 1 because it was given in the question. We have we'll take plus on both sides. So we have the positive root of 5 minus 3, which is 2. Then alpha 2 is equal to the negative of the square root of 2. And then alpha 3 will be negative here, and we'll take positive here. So we have the positive root of negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. So we have 8i if you split it up. And then alpha 4 would be negative root 8i. It would just be the negative of alpha 3 because these two are purely imaginary. So now what we want is the sum of the squares of their magnitudes or modulus. So since they're either pure real or pure imaginary and not complex, like they're not sum of a real number and a complex number. So you can directly take the modulus of these numbers. So here the modulus would be root 2. The modulus would be root 2 here as well. That is also called the absolute value. And here we'll have root 8 as well. Or you can also use the magnitude formula, which is root of x squared plus y squared, where y is the coefficient of I and x is the real part. You'll still get root 8. And negative root 8i will just return you root 8 as well. So this is the magnitudes or the modulus of the roots. But now we actually want the sum of their squares now. So square this, you have 2. Square this, you have 2 again. Square this, you have 8. And finally here we have 8 as well. If you add them up, you'll have 4 plus 16. This is 16, this is 4, and then you'll have 20 totaled up. So that'll be your answer for the question for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Hit a like if you enjoyed this question, and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, see you soon. Goodbye.